In this video, I want to have an open discussion about cogito ergo sum. Cogito ergo sum is Latin for I think, therefore I am. And this is a famous quote in philosophy by French philosopher René Descartes. In his book, Discourse on the Method, he came up with cogito ergo sum in his attempt to come up with an indisputable foundation of all knowledge, something that is indubitable. And he landed on it being irrefutable in his opinion that if he can think, then he must exist. I've taken the argument and put it in the form of modus ponens. Modus ponens is a deductive, valid argument form. So it's valid because the premises are, if I can think, then I exist. I can think, I exist. And this follows the form of if A, then B, A, therefore B. But in order to be sound, all the premises must be true. If we take a big step back and look at the point of the argument and the spirit of what's going on here, the point is to get to this conclusion that I exist. The word I is problematic because it refers to a self. So before we've even reached the conclusion logically, we are referring to an I. So he already seems to have a concept of I before concluding I. In premise 2, he's saying I can think. So he's again referring to the I, the self. But remember, we haven't even yet gotten to the conclusion that I exist. So how do we know if we exist if we're already presupposing the existence of an existing thing before proving that that thing exists? They kind of smuggled in the word I, which is self-referential, before even concluding that there is an I. So what's interesting about this analysis is that in order to be analyzing this, we are thinking. In order to be doubting these premises, we are thinking. And his point is to say that thinking beings are existing beings. So almost the act of sitting here and analyzing it is proof of existence. But if we want to be epistemically sound, and if we're looking from a strict classical logic perspective, is this really sound reasoning? So this entire argument already depends on it being true that I exist in order to prove I exist. So the argument is self-referential. We are presupposing the existence of an I before we've even fairly given all of our reasons to believe that there is an I. So I would say that cogito ergo sum, strictly speaking, is not sound. It is valid reasoning, but the premises are self-referential. It's not exactly that the premises are not true, but in the premises, Descartes is referring to something that he hasn't even proven exists yet. The ultimate conclusion is that there is an I, a self. So before we get here, how can you already refer to that self? Do you think that if we found a way to reword cogito ergo sum and take out the I, that we could avoid the objection of self-reference? So I will rework this argument to see if we can now avoid the objection of self-reference. If there is something that thinks, then something exists. There is something that thinks, therefore something exists. So since we didn't use the word I, do you now think that this is sound? Are there any other issues with the premises? an interesting thing that's going on here lies in the word is. If there is something, then something exists. So what does is mean? Can you think of a way where you can use the word is without referring to something? In order to say is, you have to be referring to something in existence. Think of is almost as a verb, in a sense, that there's something there and we are referring to it. So would you say that maybe in premise 2, when they say there is something that thinks, that still might fall under a self-referential objection? Before we've even proven that something exists, we use the word is, and is seems to imply existence. It's unclear whether we have actually avoided any kind of circular or self-referential rejection, because if you ask me, the word is implies existence. So since there's something that they're referring to, something that's ising, again, then in the premises, there's already been an assumption that there is something in existence before proving that something exists. So it actually doesn't appear that replacing I with is was a way to avoid the objection. It seems like a loophole, and we still smuggled in a very, very subtle way to refer to the existence of the very thing we are trying to prove. While it seems ironic to question whether this argument is true because the act of questioning it implies thinking in existence, we're just saying that technically, strictly, and logically speaking, is there any way that we could truly come to a conclusion such as something exists or I exist without referring to that very thing in the premises? Can you make a justified true belief under Cogito Ergo Sum by using a deductive argument style?